Hello, literature lovers. Picking up on the last episode. Time travel back to the present. Just to catch you up, the novel Dream Count is all about the lives of 4 women. At the center stage is the first woman's name, Chiamaka, a Nigerian travel writer living in America who recounts to us the men who have been in her life, her exes. Each ex has a detestable tale. A series of crummy men who take any chance to guilt trip this woman, either sexually, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Amidst Chiamaka's memory lane, we also get to have secrets of the women in her circle. That are, the second woman is Omelugor. Forgive my pronunciation. Omelugor is Chiamaka's strong-willed cousin, a financial expert who seems uninterested in the conventions of having men to complete a woman's life, but she still questions how well she knows herself. Then there's the third woman, Zikora, Chiamaka's best friend, a well-put lawyer who has been utterly successful at everything as far as career ambitions are concerned. The flip side is, she still holds on to the traditional way of dating and what many women as little girls ever dreamed, meeting a Prince Charming to swipe her off her feet and live happily thereafter. Zikora's dream wedding never come to life. She gets impregnated, betrayed, and broken-hearted. The fourth woman is Kadiatau. Forgive my pronunciation once again. Kadiatau, Chiamaka's housekeeper. Shout out to Trevor Noah's What Now podcast recent interview with Adichie that I got to learn that Kadiatau's tale in the novel is actually inspired by the May 2011 eyebrows raising case, a real-life story of a 32-year-old woman from Guinea, Nasitao Jello, a housekeeper at one of the New York hotel in Manhattan, who was sexually assaulted by a then-famous French politician, Dominique Strauss. Go and Google that case. Weird is my adjective on it. On that note, if you haven't read the Dream Count novel, I hope you've gotten an insight of what the novel is about. Off to my Naysayer's remarks. I will start off by quoting Adichie's very words, credit to aforementioned the Trevor Noah's What Now podcast on the interview with Adichie. Open quote. It is only in literature that we can learn things that we cannot learn anywhere else. So journalism cannot tell us about human motivation. Journalism cannot go deep into the terrain of the human heart. End quote. Indeed, literature is an exploration of human nature in all its entirety. Therein, I salute Adichie for the very words, very tangible for sure. As far as Adichie's writing of Dream Count novel, plot and characterization, there is something bog standard compared to her other books. Purple Hibiscus, A Feminist Manifesto, The Thing Around Her Neck, just to name them. Time travel back to my undergraduate years. I remember my first African literature unit. The lecturer really could not stomach any mention of Western connotations when discussing African literature. Clearly, for her, she did encourage us, her students, to approach African literature on its own terms, recognizing how Western frameworks can sometimes invalidate or misinterpret African unique voices and experiences. My takeaway at this juncture in my studies was in honoring the depth and diversity of African women's narratives and fostering a more nuanced engagement with the literature itself. Time travel back to the present. With that mindset, Adichie's Dream Count has displayed how often at times she blurs the lines between fiction and non-fiction by overemphasizing her repetitive themes that come out as condescending stereotypes, especially when she lists the dreams of the women and her intrusions on African behavior and the American academia. Not forgetting the predictable story patterns when unpacking the body count of these women, rewarded as dream count as per the title of the book. It is in a portrayal of the terrain of the human heart that she intentionally weakens her female characters to depict them as incomplete by exposing them to crummy men who belittle the efforts on how far along an empowered modern-day African woman has come. I specifically felt a kind of way when she actually even antagonized Olamagor. I mean, her characterization was impeccable, very strong-witted, very independent, very liberal. But Adichie had to devalue her by exposing her questionably financial schemes. Yes, I know, it is a moral complex dilemma for a reader. You have to read to understand what I mean. Very disturbing is how Adichie made her to be curious in knowing herself through men. My worst moment in the novel. Time travel back to my postgraduate years. I vividly recall my lectures on women writing in Africa by Dr. Mushiri and comparative studies of African literature by Dr. Musonye, where in the former, I got to curiously explore the significant contributions and diverse perspectives offered by women writers in various genres, be it poetry, prose, or drama, as they unnervingly convey themes of patriarchy, feminism, and social change, frequently addressing issues such as domestic struggles and the interplay between modernity and tradition, thus enriching the literary landscape that invites broader conversations about African women. Oh, how I enjoyed such lectures. While in the latter, I richly got intellectually challenged on examining cross-border influences on notable themes such as postcolonialism, migration, and globalization that are analyzed through a comparative lens, encouraging dialogues that transcend national boundaries and reflect the continent's diverse voices. I miss such grilling sessions. Anyway, time travel back to the present once again, for the last time I promise. In this Dream Count novel, yes, granted, the women's issues are still and will still be a worthwhile matter decades from now. Yes, granted, America is still aspirational, right? Oh my, Adichie's famous repetitive theme of American dream. I'm so tired of it. I had enough of it with Akuna in the novel The Thing Around Her Neck, a Nigerian woman who wins a visa lottery and goes to live with her uncle in America. This very uncle molested her, forcing this Akuna to get a deep dive into the American scene. I had enough of the American dream with Ifeoma Obiura in Purple Hibiscus, where the characters migrate to the US for better opportunities, highlighting the complexities of the allure of a perceived better life, the American dream. Yes, granted, her authorial intent is concise, especially on matters women's romance and dependency, granted. Notwithstanding, if I may, candidly speaking, in our contemporary society, it's not anymore about the women crying out for help. I mean, we women have the mantle now. A good example is Omalugor, Chiamaka's Nigerian cousin. Her introspective characterization is very brush. I know you guessed by now she's my top best female character in the Dream Count novel. I think it is high time we do recognize that blame shifting the society or societal expectations is a bit uncalled for, right? We have now gradually broken the norm. It is thus time for us to call a spade a spade. Such a hackneyed phrase. And say strongly that it is our own self-deception. As far as Adichie's Dream Count intent, I want to believe her authorial intrusions speak volumes, which sets the stage for any reader, specifically for someone like me, her diehard fan, to question how predisposed ideals, both as a fiction writer and non-fiction writer. Alright, but where is the fine line? On matters aspirational America, rather, the repetitive American dream theme in Adichie's world of writing, I would love to know how worthy of admiration, how creditable, how achievable this is now, with the looming disillusionment. Currently speaking, pause, you know what I mean. I beg to be pardoned as I curiously ask, is the American dream still a fact or an illusion? Another hackneyed phrase in the form of a question. All in all, that's my Naysayer's critique of the Dream Count novel. Don't get me wrong, it is a good read, but not my cup of tea this time round. I pose a challenge to anyone who might be having contradicting opinions of the novel to spew some brilliance brilliantly for me to get convinced. That's all I have for you today. Kindly subscribe and share this podcast with your family and friends. See you when you hear me. Bye.